Hey guys, Robert Max here, the Gold Key Geezer. Welcome to episode 1. And this first time we're going to take a look at a comic that we looked at on the old channel. And that is Mystery Comics Digest number 26. This was the final issue of a 26-issue run of this reprint digest-sized comic. As you can see, this one features Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery. I was able to rescue this in really great shape from my father's house before we sold it. I found it in the bottom of a drawer under a bunch of bed linens. And I distinctly remember buying that, or buying this, or getting my mother to buy this, I should say. And I'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll take a closer look at it when I get it on the table, and we'll do that when I get back. So I hope you stick around.
And for 1975, these great new characters, astronauts Alan Burton and Pete Burke, and the apes, Galen, grandson of Cornelius, Urko, the vicious soldier ape, and General Ursus, the nemesis of Dr. Zaius and the astronauts. Planet of the Apes Series 2, sold separately by Mego.
Alrighty, we are back. After a word from our sponsor for this episode, Mego's Planet of the Apes Series 2, which was characters from the short-lived CBS TV program. Mystery Comics Digest number 26. I have distinct memories of being in a checkout line with my mom at a Woolco. If you've had those in your area, they were like the big department store version of Woolworths. And, it was on an impulse rack that you'd have in the aisle, the checkout aisle. You'd see things like TV Guide, Reader's Digest, probably some Archie's Digest series, and I saw this book and asked Mom if I could get it, and of course she allowed me to. This is the original one that I had from 1975. Now, Mystery Comics Digest was one of 3 digest-sized comics published by Western, the other 2 being Golden Comics Digest and Walt Disney Comics Digest. Now, Mystery Comics Digest would take stories and reprint them from 3 of Whitman's, or should I say Western's, mystery suspense titles. And that would be, of course, Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery, The Twilight Zone, and Ripley's Believe It or Not. It was published for 26 issues. And it ran from March 72 until October of 1975. 26 issues. This was the final issue, number 26. The featured title would rotate, every issue. And the reprints in the book would be featured from that comic. Now, the cover for this issue, painted by George Wilson, has been repurposed from Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery number 16 from 1966. Along with the reprinted stories in this comic, you'd also see a few new stories, new material, and it's one of those stories that left an impression on me that we're going to take a look at. And it was called Planet of the Bats, a spine tingler. It's a script by Donald F. Glut and art by Dan Spiegel. And it tells the story in flashback of a crew on a spaceship. The person doing the retelling is the captain of this spaceship, and the spaceship's called a DF-30. Probably stands for Donald F. Glut. Not 100% sure, but I'd be willing to bet on it. Okay, and he tells us the story of how, in the future, and the year is 2429, You know, scientific advancements, space exploration is commonplace, and one of the most important scientific achievements of the time was a total eradication of disease on Earth. Now that's going to end up being very important in the story. So he tells us that they're on a rescue mission looking for one of his friends who was captaining. Is that a word? Anyway, he was the commander of another spaceship that had disappeared but had sent out a distress signal. So they travel to the planet of that distress signal, and they encounter these large bats that sort of have a prehistoric look to them. Actually, just one bat initially, and using their ray gun, they kill it and continue to follow the signal, the distress signal, and they locate the lost ship. Now, as they approach this cave near where the ship was, they see all the crew members lying around, and we can see that they are quite pale, having been drained of all their blood. So as they're looking around, we see a hand up here in the corner, and one of these guys, it ends up being Ron. His name is Ron Haydock. He is, or was, the captain of the missing ship, and he tells them how they were. He tells them, you know, in a flashback within a flashback, how they had been exploring the planet, were attacked by these bats. They were vicious, very vampiric, and they drained all the crew of the blood. He was able to hide in the background, and you know, found shelter behind some rocks, watched his whole crew die, which I don't know, is that, you know, totally heroic and appropriate for a captain of a ship? I don't know, but that's what he tells them happened. And he was able to get away with just a scratch or a cut on his arm. So, you know, they rescue this guy. They're taking him back to their ship. Now they have an encounter with a full flock of these bats, but they're able to fight them off, and they blast off and head back for Earth. Now back on the ship on their return trip, one night when the captain is sitting on the bridge, or the con, he hears over the intercom disturbance in the aft part of the ship. He goes back to investigate and finds that his friend has now turned into a vampire. You see, because of the eradication of disease, man is very susceptible to any kind of infection. So the cut that he received during the encounter with the bats on the planet has turned him into a vampire. He then attacks our narrator, takes him to the ground, and as he's lying on the ground, he sees the two crew members who had been attacked by the vampire start to rise. So they weren't dead, they've just been infected as well and have turned into vampires. So he goes on to tell the rest of the story of the return trip home, saying he doesn't remember a lot of details about, you know, the passage of time, but they did eventually arrive back on Earth. And you can see all their family and friends are here to greet them as the spaceship lands. And the line that always stuck with me in this story, and the panel that always stuck with me, is this final one where he says, yeah, it was good to be home. It had been a while since any of us had feasted. And we see that now the entire crew has exited the ship and they're all vampires. And we get a little tagline, or not tagline, we get some art credit here, or story credit, art by Dan Spiegel and script by Don Glut. But the thing about this panel that always like stuck with me, and it used to actually like make me feel uneasy, was like, you know, I could see these astronauts getting off the ship and, you know, their family and friends there to greet them, and this is what they see. And I would always wonder, like, how long would it take for you know, the entire population to be turned into vampires? We know from our recent history how quickly a disease can spread across the globe. So yeah, that was kind of frightening for me as a 9-year-old. No, I wasn't 9, I was 11. And just a great story by Don Glut. with art by Dan Spiegel. Don Glut would have several original stories published in Mystery Comics Digest over its entire run. Like I said, this was the final issue, number 26, and in really great shape. Not that that really matters to me, because I like reading copies because I want to be able to look at them. No advertisements in this issue other than this in-house advertisement on the back cover, which is for Golden Comics Digest, and an advertisement for this title, Mystery Comics Digest, on the inside back cover, which really wasn't necessary because this was the last issue. And we get a inside front cover, we get Walt Disney Comics Digest advertisement. So all three of the digest-sized comics published by Western are advertised in this final issue of Mystery Comics Digest. That being number 26, featuring Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery, at a cover price of 69 cents. That was a lot of money to me in 1975 for sure. Could buy a lot of candy with that, a few packs of baseball cards. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode number 1 of Gold Key Geezer. I'll be back again in the near future with another comic, and until then, take care.